Okay, so in this particular video, we will try to understand what is meant by the Code of Federal Regulations in the United States of America. As like in India, we have the Gazette. The similar way in the USA, all the rules, regulations, acts are defined under the Code of Federal Regulations or CFR. So it is the codification of the general and permanent rules of the United States. And there are certain rules which are also applicable for good manufacturing practices for pharmaceutical products. So those are covered under the CFR or the Code of Federal Regulations. So how this CFR is structured? The CFR is divided into 50 titles that represent broad areas subject to federal regulations. For example, I do not know whether you are able to see the screen clearly or not, but these are the 50 number of titles presented into the CFR. The first title, that is title number 1, is about general provisions. The title number 2 is about grants and agreements. The title number 3 about the president. Title number 21 is more important for us as far as pharmaceutical product manufacturing is concerned, and that is the title number 21, the food and drugs. So our focus is going to be on the title number 21, where all the requirements, including manufacturing, processing, testing, labeling, all has been covered under the title number 21. Now, so we talk about the different titles, and we understand that there are 50 number of titles available into the CFR. So the further now, what is after the title? So each title is divided into chapters, which usually bears the name of the issuing agency. So there are going to be different chapters under each and every title. So just to give an overview, the title number 21, that is the food and drugs, these are the 3 chapters available. The title of chapter 1 is what? The Food and Drug Administration, Department of Health and Human Resources. So this usually bear the name of the issuing agency. So who has issued the chapter number 1? The chapter number 1 is issued by this department, the Department of Health and Human Services. As this particular chapter belongs to the food and drugs, the health department is certainly uh, you know, going to be responsible for the preparation of the title number 1. The chapter number 1. The chapter 2, Drugs Enforcement Administration, the Department of Justice Office of National Drug Control Policy. Right? So this way you will understand that the title has different chapters. So we have understand that there are 50 number of titles, and each title can have the number of chapters inside it. Let us move further now. What happens after the chapters? So here we go. Each chapter is further subdivided into parts covering specific regulatory areas. See, these are the 50 number of chapters, right? And we understand that, sorry, these are 50 number of titles, right? And we understand that every title can have the different chapters, multiple chapters. Like title number 21, Food and Drugs, has 3 different chapters. Further, this each chapter can be subdivided into parts covering the specific regulatory requirement. Let us talk about the chapter number 1 under the title 21. So the part 1, General Enforcement Regulations. Part 2, General Administrative Rulings and Decisions. Part 3, Product Jurisdiction. Part 4, and so on. So part 11 is also a very important part of the good manufacturing practices, and that talks about electronic records, electronic signatures. And all these parts are very important and required as far as manufacturing, marketing, selling the drug products and foods inside the USA. Okay, so let me summarize now what we are discussing right now. We're talking about the Code of Federal Regulations or CFR. CFR is divided into 50 number of titles. These are the 50 number of titles. Then each title is divided into different number of chapters. Like we talked about the 21 title number 21 about food and drugs, and there this particular title has three different chapters, chapter 1, 2, 3, and they're actually controlled by their specific department. Then this all chapters are divided into parts covering the specific regulatory areas. So this chapter number 1 in the title 21 has so many number of parts, right? So many number of parts. And this is not the complete list. Okay, there are many parts available, but I've just you know got some of these parts just for your reference and understanding. But this is not the only 25 number of parts. There are many parts available inside the chapter number 1. Okay, so let us move further now. Okay, so large parts may be subdivided into subparts. For example, let us talk about again the 50 number of titles, followed by each title can have the different number of chapters. Then each chapter can have the parts, and again these parts can be subdivided into subparts. For example, this is the part 11, and this part 11 talks about electronic records, electronic signatures, and it has a subpart A, subpart B, subpart C. So subpart A talks about general provisions as far as electronic records, electronic signature is concerned. So after the parts, if the part is too big one, that can have the subpart within the that particular part only. So part 11 will have the subparts within it. So part 11 itself is a part of the chapter, isn't it? But that part can have the subpart within it, like subpart A in this particular example. So we are up to the subpart now. See, where we started, CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, has 50 number of titles. These are the 50 number of titles. You may not be able to see that. This each title is divided into chapters. Each chapter is further divided into parts. Each part may be divided into subparts. And this is the new point. Each part is made up of sections. Is made up of sections. See now the link. CFR has 50 titles. Title has different chapters. Chapters has different parts. Parts may be divided into subparts, and each part can have the different sections within it. The same journey over here. 50 number of titles. They have different. 50 number of title has different chapters. Like chapter 1 for title 21. These chapters are divided into parts. Sometimes if the part is too big, it can have these subparts like subpart A in case of part 11. And this part can have the, the different sections within it. Like 11.1 is the section within the part 11. Though it is a part of this subpart, but it is recognized as the section. It is recognized as the section with the number like 11.1. So how to read this now? 21 CFR. 21 CFR means what? I'm talking about the title number. This is what the title number. 21 CFR is the name of the title. There are 50 titles, right? 21 CFR. Then the further called as the 11. 21 CFR part 11. 21 CFR part 11. And in that, what is the subpart? Now, this is how, or not this way, but 21 CFR. Okay, I think let me write the name of this particular clause and how this has to be right. 21 CFR. So the title number 21, 21 CFR. Then part 11. part 11, and then the section 11.1, section 11.1. So this information helps you to reach to this particular point, that the scope under electronic records and electronic signatures, 21 CFR, followed by what is the part name? It is the part number 11, and in that it has the section 11.1, or you can also mention in between the subpart A, but many times subparts are not written, but you can also mention that subpart A, and then you can reach to what is the section within that. So this is the way any law can be codified and easily understood. So 21 CFR part 11.1, easily you can understand and go to this particular point. Okay, it is a scope under part 11, under the title number 21, that is the food and drugs. So I hope you understand how the codification of the law takes place inside the CFR, that is the Federal Code of Federal Regulations for the United States of America. Let us summarize what we learned so far. So CFR is a code. CFR is a codification of the general and permanent rules. Like we talked about CFR 21 CFR part 11, isn't it? 21 CFR part 11 is the rule for the understanding the electronic records inside the for drugs and food. Then the CFR is divided into 50 titles, right? The CFR is divided into 50 titles. Then each title is divided into different chapters. Then each chapter is divided into parts. Then each part, if the part is so big, it can be subdivided into subparts. And then the parts or subparts will have the different sections within it. Like we talked about 11.1, that is a section within the part number 11, right? Part number 11. So this is very important to understand how to read these different laws and how these laws gets codified by the CFR rules and regulations. So in the next video now, we are going to talk about the good manufacturing practices requirement under title number 21, that is for the food and drugs. Let us meet in the next video. Thank you so much.